I read the Roger Stone indictment. You recall he was indicted last week. Well, before I even get to the indictment, he was arrested last week after a pre-dawn raid on his home by over 24 FBI agents and such. Now, you know, when they do a raid on a home, they don't go in half you know what. They go in with full force. So I don't necessarily blame the FBI for having 30 agents raid the home and arresting him, because their techniques are, you know, to protect their people. If they're going to do a raid, they're going to make sure it's done in a way that everyone is safe and sound, both those who are subject to the raid and those who conduct the raid. The debate is, and the abuse is, the necessity of the raid itself. Roger Stone is a 60-year-old plus political consultant who's been quite public in his debates about the Mueller investigation, about his cooperation. He's testified to Congress. And the idea that you needed a raid like this to arrest him, as opposed to allowing him just to show up in court or turn himself in, as is often allowed, just shows you that the Mueller operation is about abusing its powers, embarrassing President Trump. Remember, this is not the first time this type of abusive raid has happened. You had the Manafort early morning raid, guns drawn, on Paul Manafort. You had the raid on the president's lawyer's office, Michael Cohen's offices and hotel room, which was extraordinary. And you had these other abuses that aren't well covered by the media. For instance, the special counsel went behind the back of the Trump campaign and the president in subpoenaing and obtaining records of the presidential transition, which aren't really government records, or to the degree they are government records, there is an interest of the president personally in them, but they just went ahead and took them. So there's abuse after abuse by the Mueller operation, and the Roger Stone raid is the latest abuse. But the other abuse is the indictment itself. Because once again, it's not about Roger Stone, it's about the president. And it's about embarrassing him and preparing the battlefield for his removal, if not through indictment and prosecution, but through impeachment. And so when you look at the Stone indictment, now, you know, you would think that it's very serious, because it is a federal indictment. It is very serious, because you come up against the federal government, you know, you're likely to lose oftentimes and face a lot of jail time. So the awesome power the federal government has is being abused to target Roger Stone in what I consider to be a low-rent indictment. Charges of lying to Congress, charges of obstructing justice, and tampering with witnesses. And when I look at the lies he allegedly told to Congress, I'm not convinced necessarily they're lies, because I don't trust the Mueller investigation. They're presenting information from a transcript that isn't public, even though it should be. And the witness tampering allegations look silly to me. Now, Stone has allegedly said, he's talking about his friend, I'll get your dog, and does some sort of Godfather reference. And I'm sure Stone's going to come up and say, look, I was joking. I was going back and forth with my buddy about the testimony. I wasn't trying to intimidate witnesses. It's just absurd. Now, I don't know if that's the case, but it's a plausible defense. But this is, again, and I hate to use the word process crime, because you can't lie. You can't lie under oath. You can't lie to Congress. You can't lie to the FBI. The FBI can lie to you, but you can't lie to the FBI. I mean, the law is the law. We can debate whether that should be the law or not, but but that's not the issue. The issue is them going into getting congressional testimony that they supposedly only got about a month before the indictment, despite harassing Roger Stone and Jerry Corsi for probably almost a year now, and going in and picking out questions that weren't terribly important and alleging he lied about them. As I said, this is a low-rent investigation. And remember what Mr. Mueller was hired to do: investigate Russia collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russians. So this isn't about that collusion. There's no evidence of Russia collusion, again, in this big indictment. And it shows you that prosecutorially speaking, Mueller is scraping the bottom of the barrel. But he has a new indictment that may keep him around for a bit. Now, I know there's been debate whether his investigation is coming to an end. The acting Attorney General, Matthew Whitaker, suggested that this week. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. I think as long as President Trump is president, there will be a special counsel investigation hanging over him. This is why, in my view, it needs to be shut down, because it is harassment. They all know there's no Russia collusion. In fact, when you look at the indictment, you see the two things. That you had Roger Stone trying to figure out what Wikileaks was trying to do, and supposedly the Trump campaign asking Roger Stone to figure out what Wikileaks was going to do in terms of leaking any information or emails that had been stolen and given to them. So why would they need to figure out what Wikileaks was trying to do if they were involved in a conspiracy with them in stealing the emails? So the indictment itself blows out of the water the notion that the Trump campaign was involved in the conspiracy to steal DNC emails or Hillary Clinton emails or have them published improperly. The document does show that the Clinton campaign was pressuring WikiLeaks, but of course, you know, the Clinton campaign is never put under oath. Hillary Clinton has been questioned under oath. I don't believe the lawyers for her law firm that improperly was used as a cutout to pay Fusion GPS to create the garbage dossier, they were never questioned under oath. Glenn Simpson was questioned about what he communicated to the campaign about, and the Clinton campaign. What did he talk to them about? He said that it's privileged information. Congress hasn't pursued that. Mueller hasn't questioned any of these people about their coordination or pressure on WikiLeaks about the emails. Only the Trump team. These are crimes that Stone is alleged to have committed after the special counsel was appointed. I don't buy any of it. This is why I think the president should consider widespread pardons for all the Americans caught up in Mueller's web. I don't trust the Mueller operation with its maladministration of justice, its biased operations. It's just come out this week that this so-called Trump Tower meeting that took place with the Russian lawyer that was actually working with Clinton's Fusion GPS and met with the Clinton, as I said, Glenn Simpson's Fusion GPS, both before and after the meeting. Senator Feinstein and Madam Schiff and all the liberal media were suggesting, well, Trump was in on the meeting because Donald Trump Jr. called block calls, and Donald Trump had a blocked phone number. Well, it turns out that Donald Trump Jr. didn't actually call Donald Trump in those blocked phone number calls. And CNN was forced to admit that this week. I want to know how long the Mueller special counsel has known that. Shut it down. That's my view.